The concept of a spirit attachment can be very scary for some, completely understandable. Today, however, let's demystify it a little bit, break it down, talking about what it actually is, how people get one, and how you can avoid getting one yourself. Spirit attachment is a big concept. It's a big concept. There's a lot to it. I've been doing crossing over work for 15 years and I've run into a lot of different situations around it. But today, for this session, I want to focus on, breaking down what a spiritual attachment really is so you have an understanding of it, how the attachment happens so you have even more of an understanding around it, and then finally what you can do to avoid getting a spiritual attachment yourself. Now, see how that last sentence sparks fear? And see how that last sentence in itself, how you can avoid getting one yourself, makes it seem like this really frightening thing. And in essence, it's not that we want to avoid getting spiritual attachments because they're always a frightening experience, because they're not always. We want to avoid it because we want to walk through this world and through our spiritual path with just our own energy. Just as much as you work to avoid picking up other living people's emotions and energies and carrying those with you because those bring you down, it's the exact same thing, but picking up and connecting with the energy of a spirit in the in between. A spiritual attachment, in essence, is a spirit that is in the in between, that has not crossed over, that is looking for some sort of energy and connects with your energy and their energy are now connected. Not separate, but connected. That's the attachment piece. Let me break this down even further. When an individual passes away, they go through the crossing over process to cross over to the other side. There is a review process, a transition process that they walk through. And sometimes, not all the time, most of the time you just go. It's an automatic pull. It's a wonderful experience, but sometimes a spirit will get stuck, whether they're stopping their own process or something else stops them. Lots of reasons why spirits get stuck, and there are too many to go into today, but just know that a spirit typically gets stuck. An individual person who is going through this crossing over process typically gets stuck by something that they're fearful of, whether it's leaving their kids behind or they're fearful that they're going to go to hell or something like that. Some sort of fear will cause a spirit to be stuck. When that stuck spirit seeks out comfort to help themselves feel better in the in between, they're going to be magnetically drawn to a living individual whose energy makes them feel comfortable. All right. See how I word it that way? It's a whole lot different, and that's the experience that I've seen. It's a whole lot different than the spooky, scary, pop culture concept of, oh, you have an attachment. It's like you walked through a graveyard and, pick something up along the way that's dragging its foot behind it. It's the pop culture thing just doesn't really ring true with the experiences that I've had. So, with this new understanding of exactly what it is, hopefully you can see that a spiritual attachment is not an evil thing. It's not vindictive. It's not that a spirit's trying to hurt you. It's that a spirit is struggling in their crossing over process. They're trying to soothe themselves. It's understandable. Is it okay? No. No, because it is going to affect the living person in a negative way, really. Whether it's a positive spiritual attachment or a negative spiritual attachment, which I'll cover the difference with those, it doesn't really matter. You're now sharing energy with another person. Granted, this person is in the in between. They don't have a physical body, but you're still sharing their energy. It's going to affect you because you're going to start to kind of pick up their emotions. You're going to start to pick up, some of their personality, you know, feelings and things like that. And those aren't yours. And it's just going to get in the way. Now, like I said, an attachment can be positive and it can be negative. With the negative ones, we hear a lot, we hear a lot of people talk about spiritual attachments in a negative sense, very spooky sense. With a negative spiritual attachment, In essence, what that is it's a spirit that's attaching to you, and the spirit themselves are, um, struggling with they were a criminal or a perpetrator, or they hurt people in their living lives, things like this. And now they're looking to soothe themselves. And when perpetrators, people with, anger issues and things like this, when they try to soothe themselves, they do it by hurting other people. This is the toughest spiritual attachment. It's extremely rare. It's extremely rare. But when it does happen, in essence, what you have is you have somebody that was very bad, mean, in their lifetime. They're still a soul, so they're still a beautiful being, but their human behavior in their lifetime was very vindictive or vicious. That's what they did to soothe themselves for a plethora of reasons, and now they're in the in between. They're fearful, and they're trying to again soothe themselves, so they're going to find somebody to affect in a negative way. That's the more negative side of spirit attachment, and it is possible but rare. Now, there are other spiritual attachments that, while what I'm about to describe to you sounds, maybe more good or positive, it still affects you in a negative way, because it affects your spiritual path. A positive example of a spirit attachment would be, perhaps, let's talk about that mother who, her kids are about to graduate from college, and sadly she passes away, and she can't be there for their graduation. Now she doesn't want to go over to the other side. She feels deep sadness about leaving. She hasn't gone to, through her crossing over process yet, and she's looking to soothe her sadness. Well, maybe in your life, you're a really great friend to your friends. You're just that comfortable person to be around. Whenever people are around you, they just feel better. This might be why this mom, who's in the in between, struggling and sad, might be drawn to you, because she wants to be in the presence of someone that makes other people feel better. So it's not always negative, but you can see if that mother in the in between in spirit form attaches to your energy and starts sharing energetic space with you, you can see how you're going to start to pick up some of her emotions. You're going to start to pick up some of her feelings and personality, and that will get in the way, because now you're sad with no reason to be sad. It's just as important to prevent spiritual attachments, because you don't want to share the energy with that spirit, as it is to not pick up energies in your day-to-day life of living people around you that aren't yours to carry. So, in essence, what I'm talking about is keeping your energetic body clear from that which you're not supposed to carry. Spiritual attachments fall into that category. Now, why would one particular person get a spiritual attachment and maybe another one wouldn't? Sometimes, and this is the lesser of the reasons, and then I'm going to talk about a bigger reason, but sometimes an individual is in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's it. They are not aware of their energetic body. They are not paying attention to the energies around them, or they're not taking care of themselves on their spiritual path or energetically, et cetera, et cetera. When we're not aware of our energetic body, when we're not putting our spiritual path in front of us, it makes our energetic body vulnerable. And when we're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's just coincidence, again, this is the smaller reasons for these spiritual attachments, it can happen. It can happen. You can run across a spirit that has the intent to find some sort of soothing energy. And if you're carrying that soothing energy, they just might attach, meaning they just might step in to share space with you so they feel better. Now, like does attract like. I've seen it very commonly that a grieving mom will attach to another mother, or someone who deeply loved their husband will find another male that fits that category and attach to them. There's a whole bunch of reasons why, but in general, the like attracts like is a big component. Now, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, like I said, that's the smaller reason it happens. That's more rare. It's more common that a spirit who is stuck and looking for particular energy that's soothing for them will be drawn to a human living person that is stuck, that has a compatible energy or a very similar energy in some way, shape, or form. Now, the key to this is the living person is stuck in their life path. They're stuck in some sort of way that they either haven't been able to process through something completely. And it's not even that, it's that they're not processing. They are absolutely, they're just holding still, not moving forward in any way, and they're just not dealing with a past trauma or a current issue or something emotionally based, because that's where that stagnant energy happens within our own energetic bodies. So when a living person isn't moving forward, is how I want to say it, because there's no judgment around this at all, right? Every single one of us has had an issue in life, and we were going to deal with it. I just can't deal with it right now. That's what I'm talking about. So it's no judgment. It's not, well, you're not dealing with your stuff, so you're going to get it. Mm-mm. It's that when a person is in that space of not ready to yet deal with their trauma or their emotions, their energy of that, category becomes stagnant. And when we talk about like attracts like, you now have a stuck spirit in the in between who's stagnant and stuck, and you have a living person who's stagnant and stuck in a like attracts like kind of in sort of complementary way. That spirit is going to be attracted to that energy. Okay, don't get fearful here. We're not going to get fearful because the solution is super easy. Super easy. Two steps to the solution. First off, the practice of GCP, which I'll put a link, but ground, clear, protect is a very simple, very, very simple and very powerful practice. It's, I have a whole free course on it. I think everyone should learn this because it's an absolute game changer. GCP in a nutshell. I've got the course on it. You can watch that video, which will explain it in much, much more depth. But in a nutshell, it's the act of recognizing your energetic body, honoring it, and taking care of it. And it takes 60 seconds to do. It's a very simple practice. This practice alone will avoid the majority of spiritual attachment situations. That absolutely hands down. I have been teaching GCP for over 15 years now, and I have thousands of students all over the globe that use GCP. And it is more common for someone to come to me saying that they have a spiritual attachment that hasn't been using it than it is people that are using it. Because in essence, when you do GCP every day, just in the morning, you could do it once at night before you go to bed. When you're doing this very super easy spiritual practice of GCP, you are recognizing your spiritual path, putting your focus on your energetic body, acknowledging it, and taking care of it and protecting it. That's step one. Step two, which is also a very easy step, is to take a step, move forward in some way, shape, or form. And here's the cool part. To transform your energy from stagnant to moving does not take a huge leap. It takes a small movement. So, what I'm saying is, if you have trauma or pain or emotional situation happening, take a small step. It can be minute, it can be tiny, but any step is going to transform your stagnant energy from stagnant to moving energy. When you do that, you are no longer attracting stagnant energy from the in between. Hope that makes sense. So you will almost turn off that, that light that attracts other stagnant energy by shifting your stagnant energy into forward movement. Small steps. A small step can be literally an affirmation each morning. And it can be simple. Acknowledge the emotional situation or the trauma that you're working through. And once a morning, hang up the little sign on your bathroom mirror. Once every morning, just say, I am healing and growing and moving forward on my path in a beautiful way every single day. That's as small of a step as you have to take. If you are, if you've gone through something, buy a self-help book that's going to help you. Here's the thing, you don't even have to read the book in order to go forward. You just have to make the purchase of the book. How cool is that? So these are small, small steps that you can take, and really it's going to solve the problem. That stagnant energy is going to turn into movement energy. You're going to get off the radar for attracting other stagnant energy, and spiritual attachments just won't happen. So, in summary, a spiritual attachment is when a spirit in the in between is looking to soothe themselves emotionally. They will find a living person whose energy matches theirs and soothes them. In order to do this, their stagnant energy is looking for matching stagnant energy. So, to avoid having to deal with a spiritual attachment, it's not that big of a deal. You find a good practitioner, they can help you out. But in order to not have to go through that process of removing a spiritual attachment, take a small step. Do a small affirmation every single day, and absolutely do GCP. Do GCP not just for avoiding spiritual attachments, do it because it is a game changer. Your life is going to improve simply by doing that practice every day. I hope this helps demystify some of the spooky that's around the spiritual attachments and brings it back into humanity. These are people who are suffering and they're just looking for help, and attaching to somebody is not the help that's going to help them. Somebody helping them cross over is what's going to help them. Now, I do have another YouTube channel. It's called The Other Side Chats. So if you're interested in the crossing over process, what happens for a medium when they're doing crossing over work, all of the topics around that, you're probably going to love that channel. So I would say head on over there to check that out. But in the meantime, GCP. I love that you're going to be moving forward on your spiritual path. Make sure to subscribe because I don't want you to miss any of the videos. And I think a great video for you to dive into after this is how to spiritually protect yourself. It's going to go into a lot more detail around GCP.